Hey guys, welcome back. It's Neon. We're going to talk about Dave Chappelle and South Park. That's right, Dave Chappelle and South Park. Now, Dave Chappelle has been getting a lot of blowback from critics for his comedy special, Sticks and Stones. However, viewers love it. They absolutely love this special. It takes a pot shot at PC culture, at cancel culture, and it's freaking brilliant. But yeah, a lot of folks don't like it, and it's interesting. The South Park guys, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, talked about it in a recent interview dealing with the renewal of South Park, and they talked about how the detractors for Sticks and Stones, the critics, basically had to say they hated it to keep their jobs. And you know what? I think there's a kernel of truth to this, because you look at some of these publications and you gotta wonder, like, you know, why do they all seem to think the same? Why do the critics all seem to have the same talking points? You know, and it's very possible that, you know, there's some pressure on people to denounce this, comedy special because it's offensive, because it makes people feel bad. It makes them feel bad about themselves. We can't have that. South Park guys don't care. They really don't care. They've been pushing the envelope for decades. I mean, damn, South Park's been on almost as long as The Simpsons. It's crazy. But they're going to be on through 2022, and they're going to keep bringing the edgy humor. Yeah, maybe it's not as edgy as it used to be, but, you know, they're doing what they can do. So we're going to talk about that in this video and talk about some of the reactions to Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, and some people who are sort of riding that audience success anyway. Some other folks like Bill Burr kind of riding that wave. So is this Netflix kind of turning over a new leaf, because they were getting a lot of pushback from subscribers, from audiences, about the kind of content that they've been promoting? I don't know. Very interesting stuff we're going to talk about. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. We hit 60,000 subs this week, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. We're hoping for 100,000 by the end of the year. That would be amazing. And the reason we're hoping for that really is we're trying to get found on YouTube. It's getting harder and harder for smaller channels like ours to get found. And really, we need all the subs we can get. So if you guys could hit that sub button, it would be mucho appreciated. Okay, Dave Chappelle's Netflix special is offending critics, but viewers don't care. Now, this is actually old news. This is last week. A lot of people have been commenting on the discrepancy between Dave Chappelle's critical score and his audience score. It's crazy. Look at this. If you go out to Rotten Tomatoes, you know, Rotten Tomatoes, do we still trust Rotten Tomatoes? 99% audience score at 35,000 people, almost 36,000, 99%. Critics, they only got 16 critics. Again, this is the difference between like a Netflix special or TV show and a major motion picture release. So there are only 16 critics, and out of that, you know, only 31% of them liked it. They hated it. But the show is killing it. It's killing it. Everybody's talking about it. So we'll talk a little bit about the pushback from some of the critics, and then we'll talk about South Park guys and their theory on why critics are trashing this show. And the thing is it's kind of had a Streisand effect. Like, this show could have slipped under the radar, and I don't think anybody really would have paid much attention to it. Like, oh yeah, it's Dave Chappelle. Oh yeah, it's another comedy special on Netflix. But because there's been so much discussion about it, it's opened up a discussion about cancel culture and PC culture, and people are watching it just to check it out, just to see what the big deal is. And a lot of people are liking it. So whatever, you know, goal the critics had, if they were trying to discourage people from watching it, like, you know, I went out and found this on BuzzFeed. You know, Dave Chappelle doesn't need to punch down. If you go out and look at on Google News, I get it, Dave Chappelle, it's hard to be a comedian in your mid-40s. You know, it's just like the fear in Dave Chappelle's new special. Like, it's just crazy that they've been writing these hit pieces disguised as think pieces to trash one comedy special. I mean, that's all. That's all. You don't like it, don't watch it. You don't like it, don't watch it. But it can't exist. It cannot exist because doesn't agree with the hive mind in Hollywood. So, all right, key points from this. Many critics have panned Chappelle's latest Netflix comedy special as offensive. It's offensive. The critics may not have cared for Sticks and Stones, but viewers gave it a 99% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Netflix paid $60 million in 2016 for 5 stand-up specials from the comedian, so there's going to be more. If Netflix were to decide to end their association with him, he can take the $60 million Netflix has already given him and go to Prime Video, Hulu, or any other streaming service wishing to retain him. This thing is doing gangbusters. He could just take his $60 million and go over to Amazon. You know what? Amazon will probably take him. They'd probably take him. So many of the jokes were perceived as tone deaf and hurtful, particularly those which used various groups of people as punchlines, such as women, sexual assault victims, Asians, and members of the LGBTQ community, trans people in particular. Many characterized these jokes as gratuitously cruel. Will this round of criticism affect his career negatively, and will Netflix, which paid $60 million in 2016 for 5 stand-up specials, lose subscribers as a result? 36,000 people almost, 99% approval rating. I'm sure this is probably one of the most watched things on Netflix right now. And every time somebody takes a pot shot at this special, more people are going to watch it. Because they're going to be like, what's so bad about this? What's so bad about this comedy special? Dave Chappelle is becoming the modern day George Carlin. And I think we need more people like Dave Chappelle to push back against the excessive PC culture. If the critics alone are anything to go by, Chappelle and Netflix may have reason to worry. Slate compared Sticks and Stones to dropping in on a rascally uncle who doesn't know or doesn't care how much he's disappointing you. His jokes make you wince. Paste. Again, look at Slate and Paste. Okay, Paste said the show is terrible, not because audiences have changed, but because Chappelle himself is so thoroughly out of touch with today. Martin pulled no punches when he wrote simply, Sticks and Stones is terrible, and Chappelle can only blame himself for that. Despite this critical response, family and relationship therapist Fran Wallfish said that it's unlikely the comedian will pay any price for it. She chalked it up to ignorance about LGBTQ community on the part of the general public. So wait, she thinks he has to pay a price for his comedy special. Sadly, the majority of the American population is still vastly uneducated about the LGBTQ and trans community. There is still a great deal of ignorance, fear, and confusion. People are unclear and uninformed about various sexual identities. A stand-up comedian from Toledo, Ohio, Keith Bergman, said he believes Sticks and Stones won't harm his career, won't harm Chappelle's career. If anything, he believes that the mean-spirited and callous nature of the material was designed to keep viewers engaged even after they've finished watching. Most of the special felt calculated to generate clickbait. Chappelle is dropping bombs that enrage one group of people, and whether it's good or heartfelt or even well-crafted is beside the point. He's pushing it. He's pushing it to see what he can get away with, right? Because look, comedians now, in this day and age, are not allowed to be funny. They're not allowed to say anything remotely mean. Even look at Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld refuses to play universities anymore. Jerry Seinfeld, who is probably one of the most milquetoast comedians out there, refuses to play universities because college kids today are so offended by everything that he's not even going to waste his time. Now, this is true, and it's basically people are tired of the pendulum swinging too far. Brian Hart, founder and president of the public relations agency Flackable, what the hell is that? Flackable? Agreed that the humor in Sticks and Stones is unlikely to damage his Chappelle's career, but for entirely different reasons. He said that societal shifts exist on a pendulum, and right now that pendulum is swinging away from sensitivity after years of swinging toward it. Yeah, it is, because you know what happened? For years, people were bottled up. They were told they weren't allowed to say this, they weren't allowed to say that, they weren't allowed to think this or think that. And, you know, it's just like anything else, where if you're told for years and years and years, you can't do this. Well, why? Well, just because you can't. People are going to get tired of it. They're going to say, screw you. I'm going to say and think what I want. And that is the nature of it. That's, and I completely agree. The pendulum is swinging. The media, I think, has had a lot to do with that because of, cancel culture. And, look at social media. Look at Twitter. You say the wrong thing on Twitter and you're out of a job. It could be a completely innocuous joke and you're out of a job. We're not allowed to joke anymore because somebody somewhere might feel bad. And I'm not talking about harassing people. I'm not talking about, constantly denigrating people just because you can. That's not what I'm talking about. But, nobody can take a joke. So you've got a guy like Dave Chappelle who comes in and says, fine, nothing's off limits. I am just going to let it fly. And, you can either listen or not listen. But a lot of people seem to like what he has to say. So this guy goes on, the millennial generation, of which I'm a part of, has steadily been driving this heightened level of social sensitivity for the past decade. Yeah, no shit. There are hurtful words, phrases, and characterizations that needed to be retired, and I'm glad my generation took the lead on removing them from modern dialogue. But if these sensitive young adults are serious about improving society and the world, they need to learn how to take a joke. I agree. Again, I'm not, against social change, legit social change, and I'm certainly not for harassing people just for the sake of harassing them. But sometimes a joke is just a joke, and a lot of younger people today don't know how to take a joke at all. So, where does South Park come into it? Well, South Park has been no stranger to controversy. South Park has been controversial ever since it landed on the air. In fact, it makes shows like The Simpsons, which used to be controversial, used to be edgy, look like something your grandparents would watch. And even now, South Park, it's a little long in the tooth, but it still is funny from time to time. So it got renewed, and Matt Stone and Trey Parker had some thoughts on Sticks and Stones. They said, it's new, Stone says, of cancel culture. The term used to refer to boycott started, usually via social media, when a person or group is offended by a star or brand. I don't want to say it's the same as it's always been. The kids are fucking different than us. There's a generational thing going on. Currently, Dave Chappelle is in the crosshairs for his latest Netflix stand-up special, Sticks and Stones. I know some people have been canceled for genuinely, personal behavior, but Dave is not getting canceled anytime soon, Stone says, joking that South Park and Chappelle are grandfathered out of the culture. Stone also shared his theory as to why critics were so hard on the latest Chappelle special, while viewers seem to enjoy it far more. I feel bad for television critics and cultural critics, he explains. They may have laughed like hell at that, and then they went home, and they know what they have to write to keep their job. So when I read TV reviews or cultural reviews, I think of someone in prison writing. I think about somebody writing a hostage note. This is not what they actually think. This is what they have to do to keep their job in a social media world. So I don't hold it against them. Yeah, he's absolutely right. This is the same with, we look at the situation with comics right now. And how there are so many people working in comics that I think actually agree with a lot of the people who have been critical of the comic book industry, but they either say nothing or they signal to make sure that everybody knows that they're the good guys, even though I personally know some of these people and I know what they really think, and it does feel like they're being held hostage. This is really interesting to have, the South Park guys come out and say these TV reviewers, these movie reviewers, the critics are basically being held hostage by social media culture at this point. I guess if you want to keep writing for Slate or BuzzFeed or Paste or whatever the hell else, other blog you're writing for, that's great. But realize that, again, that pendulum is swinging. These publications are going to go out of business. They are going out of business. They're losing money. They're firing people. And people just want the truth. They want the truth. They want honest opinions. That's why they're going to YouTube. That's why YouTube's such a huge threat to the media right now. They flip out because you've got YouTubers who are honest. They don't have to play by the same rules that everybody in Hollywood and everyone in publishing plays by. And it is weird. You look at people and they do feel, it does feel like some of these people are being held hostage. You see it on Twitter every day. People have to say the right things to make sure people know that they're one of the good guys, that you're one of the good guys. Basically, they say the right things to make sure that they don't get jumped by the Twitter outrage mobs. And I think that this cancel culture is going to be canceled very, very soon. People are tired of it. They're absolutely exhausted, and it's gotta end. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.